Hey guys, Big Geordie Geek here, and I'm back with Battle Report from Imperium. This is our first scout mission, and it's great. It's much better. It's playing a proper game. It's not a tutorial anymore. Much prefer that. So we're going to get into the game. It does go to 4-5 turns. It's very fun. Now, there is a difference between this and what I previously knew, whereas my previous reports have been more tutorials. This is an actual narrative battle report, and I hope to focus more on the storytelling rather than the dice rolls. That's not to say I'm not going to do dice rolly sort of battle reports, which is more of a tutorial bent in the future, but right now I want to do the storytelling ones and I want to see how that goes. So let's get into it, let's see how it goes, and hopefully you enjoy this. Now, before we get into the battle report, I'd just like to say a quick word from our wonderful sponsor, the Daylight Company. I love their products. I actually own a Lumi task lamp myself, which is an absolutely phenomenal piece of kit. It really does make a huge difference in your painting area. I'm not gonna keep you up with a sponsored message, but I will say that if you love your painting, this will really make a world of difference. The only problem is you'll see a lot more faults with your painting work than you would before, but that's a good thing because it helps you improve. Anyway, let's get on with the battle report. So let's start by looking at the armies. Here we have the two commanders facing off against one another, your Provost Librarian and your Royal Warden. The Space Marines, who consist of the previously mentioned Phobos Librarian, and we have 3 aggressors with Flamestorm gauntlets. On the Necron side, we have 3 swarms of Canoptic Scarabs, and the Royal Warden armed with his relic Gorse Blaster. They also have 10 warriors, the trusty 10 that we've had for so many reports thus far. 5 with Gorse Flayers, 5 with Gorse Reapers, ready to get into combat. Here's the setup. We have the Space Marines on the left, the Necrons on the right, and an objective in the center. The point of the game is to score as many victory points as possible. You do this by having the most models within 3 inches of that objective at the end of your turn. So, to determine the first turn, we roll off, and the Imperials get a 3 and the Necrons get a 1, meaning the Space Marines elected to take the first turn. So, into that first turn, we have the aggressors and the Phobos Librarian move forward. They decide to make an advance. The aggressors rolled a 5 and moved 10 inches. The Librarian rolled a 2 and thus moved 8 inches. The Librarian then casts Smite at the Necron warriors, who were just in range. He cast it on a 9. The Necrons had no way to stop it, and thus the Necrons suffered a single mortal wound, which destroyed a single warrior. His reanimation protocols, that is where you roll a dice for every wound lost, every wound that the model has and is lost, and for every 5+, once you've fulfilled the wounds of the model, you return it. I'll probably do an explanation video on that. So yeah, the warriors lost for good. At this point, the Space Marines ended their turn in control of the objective. They were just within 3 inches of it and scored a single victory point. For the Necrons' first turn, they moved forward. The Scarabs rushing forward. The Royal Warden orders the warriors to take the objective and not stop until they get it, meaning that they were able to move a full inch more with their relentless advance. The warriors then all fired their weapons. The Gorse Reapers hit first. Half the shots hit, but only 1 penetrated the armor of the aggressors. The armor pierces the aggressor's armor and causes a wound in the Space Marine's torso. Not fatal, he's hurt badly, and the apothecary will need to deal with that after the battle. The Gorse Flayers hit next, and being within half range, they were able to take a second shot with 7 of the shots finding their target, 4 of which have the potential to wound the aggressor. The injured aggressor takes another shot, this time to his shoulder. The pain is agonizing, and his power armor is pumping drugs into his blood to stem the flow of the blood from the wounds and reduce the pain. He can't take much more than this. The Royal Warden steadies his aim, lifts his relic Gorse Blaster, and shoots the aggressors. He has the time and space to make 4 shots, all of which hit true. but only one hits a critical part of the armour. The injured aggressor takes the full brunt of the relic Gorse Blaster and screams as his body is reduced to its component atoms. The scarab swarms fly towards the aggressors in the hope of preventing them from taking revenge for their fallen brother. Their mandibles manage to make 6 nicks in the armour of the aggressors, one of which is a serious tear that damages the armour of one aggressor. They get their mandibles into the nicks and tear at the aggressor's systems, doing further damage to his armour's integrity. The aggressors strike back with their Flamestorm gauntlets, landing 4 serious blows on the scarab. This destroys 2 of the swarms, but the reanimation protocols kick in, but fail to return either swarm. So, the librarian moves to support the aggressors and stake a claim on the objective, then turns his attention towards casting Smite against the warriors, killing another 2 of them, but both are returned through the reanimation protocols. The librarian moves into melee range to help the aggressors. Swinging his force sword, he lands 2 blows against the swarm, both of which pierce their necrodermis and destroy the swarms, which also fail to reanimate. Consolidating their position closer to the objective, their turn ends with a second victory point. The Necrons march relentlessly towards the objective. They fire their weapons. The Gorse Reapers hit the aggressors 6 times, with 1 piercing the armour. However, it just passes through, missing flesh and any critical systems. The Gorse Flayers hit the aggressors 6 times, but only 1 part pierces the armour. Again, the shot simply causes no serious damage, just leaving an impact crater on the armour. The Royal Warden steadies his aim again with Ancient Calm, takes 4 shots at the aggressors, 3 of which find their mark, and 1 makes it through the armour. The shot is enough to cripple the armour of the already damaged aggressor. He collapses into the ground, leaving just the sergeant and the librarian to face the deathless Necrons. The Warden makes a calculated gamble and orders his warriors to charge the Space Marines in order to prevent them firing at him and potentially destroying him. The Necrons slash their guns against the Space Marines. 1 lucky hit with a bayonet gets into an armour joint and slices into the sergeant's flesh. The sergeant smashes the warriors with his Flamestorm gauntlet, but the sheer number of warriors gets in his way and only lands 2 hits, but it smashes apart 2 warriors. Unfortunately, 1 gets back up again thanks to its reanimation protocols. The librarian uses his force sword to slice apart Necrons, bringing 3 of them down. 1 again stands back up and is brought back into the service with the reanimation protocols. This ends the Necron turns, and with them having more models within 3 inches of the objective, they score a victory point. The librarian attempts to cast Smite, but the confusion of the melee and all the warriors surrounding him leaves him far too distracted, and he fails to summon the necessary energies. The sergeant continues to attack the warriors, hitting 2 more warriors. 1 blow is deflected by its Gorse Flare, whilst the other is thrown against some rocks and his eyes go dark. The warriors strike back with another lucky blow, making it through the armour and punctures the sergeant's lung. The librarian also takes an attack from a warrior who strikes his back and gets his bayonet through the armour and straight into the flesh of his back. The librarian manages to find a gap and uses his force sword, cutting down 2 more warriors. The Royal Warden orders his remaining warriors to fall back from the melee in the Necron's next turn. He adapts his strategy and has the warriors fire at the aggressors, sergeant, 2 of which burn through his armour. The sergeant dies as his body fails and he falls down into the dust, leaving the librarian on his own. The Royal Warden, pleased with himself, hoists his relic Gorse Blaster and fires at the librarian 4 times, 3 of which find their target, 2 of which get past the Ceramite. Miraculously, the librarian's armour holds and he looks the Royal Warden squarely in the eyes to let him know they all pay. The Royal Warden furiously orders his remaining warriors to charge the librarian, but his orders fail to materialise as the warriors are damaged from the previous melee. The Necrons score another victory point to bring them level with the Space Marines. The librarian marches towards the Royal Warden, using his psychic powers to cast Smite at him, but he is far too furious to concentrate, and the psychic powers cannot be harnessed, nor is his aim as steady as he would like, as his bolt round passes straight by the Warden. Charging into combat with the Warden, the librarian swings his foresword and lands every single blow on the Warden, ripping into his necrodermis. The Warden's last thought, as his head parts from his body, is that this cannot be happening. The librarian then turns its attention to the remaining warriors. The warriors fire their weapons at the librarian. The Gore Sweepers hit his armour 3 times, 2 of which hit critical system. One puts a wound onto the librarian. He does his best to shrug it off as his armour administers counterseptics. The warriors, now on automatic protocols, charge into the librarian, smashing their guns into him twice, but neither doing any damage to him. The librarian then uses his foresword to strike the warriors, hitting all 3 of them. He separates their bodies into 2 parts, but one stitches himself back together with the reanimation protocols. The librarian then summons his psychic might and casts Smite upon the remaining warrior, destroys him with psychic lightning beyond the capacity for the reanimation protocols to heal. The game ends, and as the librarian is within 3 inches of the objective, he scores another victory point, which allows the Marines to win 3-2 on points and ends the game with a wipeout for the Necrons. So yeah, that was that. Now I personally think the battle I thought it was going to go the Necrons way, to be perfectly honest. When I set that up, I kind of thought it was going to go the Necrons way. But I think the just sheer toughness of the aggressors meant they lasted a lot longer than I think they necessarily than say intercessors would have. But that's by the by. The failure of the Necrons warriors, for 3 remaining warriors to make that charge against the librarian, I think was a big turning point, because the hope was for the Necrons they'd be able to keep that librarian engaged in combat for at least another couple of turns. Well, at least another turn, not necessarily a couple, not enough of them for that, but at least another turn, so that the librarian couldn't then charge the Warden in his following turn, which he obviously did, and then killed the Warden. But that's sometimes how the cookie crumbles, so that's fun. I don't know if any of you've got any comments about the way I did this report. As I said, I really want to focus on narrative. There are a lot of people out there who do fantastic tutorial reports. You should watch them. You should watch them. Mini Wargaming, Dark Artisan. They will focus on strategy, dice rolls, and stuff like that, which is great. But it's not the style I like, and that's not to say I'm not going to do any more tutorial focused ones in the future. I possibly will, but I might stick those to sort of, instead of doing a whole battle as a tutorial, I might stick to a couple of things. Like, I think I'm going to do a tutorial on reanimation protocols. Let's say tutorial, but like a little video just to explain those, because we used them for the first time properly in this video, and they made a difference. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you've got any comments, leave them. I'd love to hear them, negative or positive, because everything is a learning experience. And yes, I know I need to cut my hair. I've had that message sent to me. Yes, it is fitting. Like, dislike, it's all helpful information. And subscribe if you want to, because that'd be great. And, you know, maybe, I don't know, watch my entire back catalogue. Well, it's the Imperium reports, everything else is rubbish. But anyway, thank you very much, and I will catch you next time. And in the meantime, keep rolling those dice. Yeah, keep rolling those dice. I think that's my sign-off phrase now. Anyway, bye-bye.